What's going on, everybody? My name is Alex Wilson, and my co-host beside me, Anthony Rivardo from Fireside Giants, an Empire Sports Media production. If you're a diehard Giants fan, you've come to the right place, my friends. Make sure to like and subscribe below, and don't forget to leave a comment. We love to engage with everybody. Now, today's episode is taking a look at some of the stupidest thing I have ever laid eyes on. Whoever comes up with these things, I think it was on Good Morning Football, right? Is that what it was? This has got to be the stupidest thing I have ever seen. Ever seen. It makes no sense. Whoever's coming up with this shit needs to find a new job because there's no way in hell someone actually put this trade together knowing the value of players, knowing what the Giants position, knowing the Texans position. And if you haven't seen it yet, it's a trade, it's a mock trade between the Giants and Houston Texans involving Saquon Barkley. And it's appalling that professional companies come up with this nonsense. And I just want to react to it because it's so damn stupid. But Anthony, before we jump into it, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great. I think this trade is just wild. I don't really know how this got published publicly. Like, hey, this is a great idea for the Texans and the Giants. It's not. It's just not a good idea. But of course, it's a fun time in the offseason where we're just making mock trades, mock drafts, all these different scenarios. So it'll be interesting to take a look at this one and maybe conjure up something that might make a little bit more sense in this regard. But yeah, I mean, draft day, there's going to be a lot of trades. It's going to be really exciting. But this trade, I think we can rule out. I don't think this one will actually happen.
Yeah, and speaking of trades, I created an article this morning that was heavily predicated on the Giants trading back. I think maybe we'll do a video on that tomorrow because it was really interesting. They gain a ton, a ton of draft capital in the process. They sacrificed the opportunity to land the Sauce Gardner, Kayvon Thibodeau at number 7, but they do end up with just a stupendous amount of draft capital this year and next year. So I do want to maybe take a look at that tomorrow. But this trade, and I'll put it up on the screen for those of you that are watching on YouTube. But this is the deal for those that are listening via audio. The Giants receive the 3rd overall pick from the Houston Texans, the 68th overall pick, and the 80th overall pick. The Giants give up the 7th overall pick and Saquon Barkley. That's it. I don't even know how people look at this, whoever came up with this, and then they went on television and actually spoke about this as if it was a decent deal. I don't understand how these people are employed in talking about football. This has to be the stupidest shit I have ever seen somebody come up with. Like, a lot of people come up with dumb mock trades. This has got to be the dumbest one I've ever seen. First of all, Saquon Barkley has coming off an injury that's, really limited his last year's production, right? He is obviously not the same Saquon Barkley we saw in his rookie campaign when he had over 2,000 all-purpose yards. Is he still a good running back? Sure. That's definitely something I'm willing to say. He's a good running back, but we haven't seen the rookie Saquon in years. And I will say this. I spoke to a Penn State fan recently about Saquon Barkley, and he told me Saquon was always the type of running back that was going to get stopped in the backfield a couple times a game. Excuse me, like he was going to be stopped in the backfield and then he was going to break off a 50-yard run. He was never the type of running back that was going to churn out extra yards, bulldoze ahead for 2, 3, 4 yards after contact. He was always a scat kind of like guy that bounces around the backfield, gets stopped because he doesn't really know how to choose the right hole and just burst through it at times. But if there is a lane and he sees it, he'll take it to the house. You never know. He's that, boomer bust type of running back. But for a team to offer, like the Texans, to offer the 3rd overall pick, the 68th overall pick, and the 80th overall pick just to move back 4 spots and land Saquon Barkley on a 1-year deal worth $7.2 million in guaranteed money. You could go, if I'm the Texans, I'm looking at the 3rd round and saying, I'm going to go get James Cook and probably get the same exact value. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like ridiculous. It's really stupid, Anthony. I mean, I think the stupidest thing is how much value people think Saquon Barkley has at this point in time. Have we not learned anything? Like, look, when we first got Saquon, I was really excited, but I think I've learned a lot about the running back position specifically, and over the past couple of years, watching some of these guys like Alvin Kamara, and Jonathan Taylor. If you have a good blocking scheme, good coaching, it goes a long way. And ultimately, you don't need a Saquon. You don't need a number 2 overall pick. You don't even need a 1st-round running back or a 2nd-round running back to be successful. Look at Elijah Mitchell, almost I think 1,000-yard rusher last year in the 6th round as a rookie. Like, that's all it takes is a good scheme and a good offensive line. For Houston to go out and trade and acquire Saquon Barkley, on a 1 year deal with probably the expectation they're not going to extend him and then just to move back force. It's gotta be like whoever, like the bath salts that person was on when they created this, like straight up zombie edition. Like these people were like walking through the street, like it was World War Z, and they were like, let's come up with a dumbass trade like this, Anthony. When you're looking at this, how preposterous does it really sound? Or do you think that there's a world where this makes sense?
I don't think there's a world where this makes sense, and I think the main point that you made is the value of Saquon Barkley. What is the value of Saquon Barkley? Well, all offseason long, we've heard that the Giants were listening to offers for Saquon Barkley. They weren't shopping him necessarily, but they were listening to offers on Saquon. And all they were really getting was fourth, fifth round pick offers, right? That's really his value right now. So the mid round picks, that's what Saquon Barkley's value is at this present moment. So when you take a look at this mock trade and you say Saquon Barkley plus the seventh overall pick to move up from 7 to 3, and then also get a 68th and 80th overall pick in addition, basically the Giants are trading 7 and a fourth to get 4 spots up in the first round and 2 additional mid-round picks on top of that. That doesn't make sense, okay? Because Saquon Barkley's value, when we're talking about the value of Saquon Barkley, it is not a first round pick. And honestly, this is a trade. If you're moving from 7 to 3 and also gaining all those extra picks, you're probably involving an extra first round pick in a trade like that, like a future first, or at least a second round pick in this year's draft. Saquon Barkley is not worth a first. He's not worth a second. He's worth at best a fourth round pick, according to all of the reports. So that's why, to me, this trade doesn't make any sense. It seems very evident that whoever made this mock trade up does not know the value of Saquon Barkley, has not been reading up on the Giants rumors, the trade rumors, because right now the trade rumors say Saquon Barkley, best they could get for him, fourth to fifth round pick. And that's disappointing. That's not good ROI, return on investment, considering the Giants spent the second overall pick on him in 2018. But 4 years later, 3 injuries later, and only one seriously productive season, maybe two seriously productive seasons that were healthy. 4 years later, he's now only worth a fourth round pick. Super disappointing. It sucks. I mean, I never thought, taking a running back was the smartest decision at 2 overall, but I always wanted to see Saquon succeed, right? Like prove everybody wrong. I would have loved to see him prove all of the doubters, myself included, wrong. But unfortunately, the running back position is not set up for success when you're taking it second overall. It's a very injury prone position. It's a position that can't add a maximum amount of value like a quarterback or a trade down could in that scenario. So for Saquon Barkley, it's not necessarily his fault. He's been dealt a bad hand. He hasn't had the best coaching staffs. He's had a lot of injury problems that weren't necessarily his fault. It's not Saquon's fault, but he's just not that valuable right now for the New York Giants. He's really only worth about a fourth round pick. So this mock trade doesn't really make sense. Could I see a scenario where the Giants do trade Saquon Barkley? Sure, I could see that, but it would be to gain additional draft picks for the Giants, like a fourth or a fifth round pick. It would be they're going to trade Saquon, get a fourth round pick, and then probably use that fourth round pick on one of these running backs that they've been scouting all offseason long, like James Cook. That's a scenario that I see Saquon Barkley getting traded in. But this scenario, this mock trade, it really just does not make sense considering the value currently of Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, and let me throw in another wrench here. So when you're looking at the draft chart, which is definitely ebbs and flows based on needs, but like just straight up value wise, going from 7 to 3 is a 700 point differential. And for context, the 700 points is worth the 26th overall pick, which the Tennessee Titans currently have, right? So you're talking about the 26th overall pick as the difference between the seventh and third. They're basically saying that Saquon Barkley is worth a first round pick that's at the 26th spot this year. I mean, like, and Anthony just said, they're looking to shop him for the fourth round pick. So it makes no
Yeah.
sense.
And even on top of that, they're saying that he's worth a first round pick and then some change because the Giants in this mock
Insane.
trade also got 2 mid-round picks. So doesn't really make sense. Hate to shoot this one down for all the Giants dreamers out there that want to see this happen, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, there's no way. I mean, look, if you look at the 68th pick, I think they had that's 250 points, and then the 80th is 190. So not only are you getting the 700 point differential from moving up to 3, but you're also getting an additional like 400. It like literally is like it has to be the stupidest thing I've ever seen. But regardless, Saquon Barkley is still a New York Giant, and if this trade for whatever reason was actually considered, this would be one of the biggest fleeces in the history of the NFL. Like in terms of actually getting back capital from what, like, the 26th and a couple of mid-round picks is a pretty damn good haul for a player who has not lived up to the potential for a myriad of reasons. Number two over, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I'd even throw out another layer to this. Like, it's the Houston Texans, so I understand they made some really bad trades in the past, the DeAndre Hopkins and David Johnson one, but that was when Bill O'Brien was running the show. That's not the case anymore. Nick Caserio is the GM over there. When was the last time you ever saw the Patriots during the Nick Caserio era or the Bill Belichick era spend big on a running back? They've never done that because they understand positional value. So just adding another layer to how preposterous this mock trade is, Nick Caserio is not going to get fleeced in favor of a running back. That would never happen. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, let alone the fact that the Giants have already had, I think, 3 top 30 visits for running backs. They brought in James Cook and Breece Hall. Like, we're talking about a team that's actively looking to replace Saquon Barkley. And here we have these people coming up with trades, whereas Saquon Barkley is actually worth a first-round pick again. Not even a first round, a third and fourth rounder, or whatever it was, a first and 2 third round. I don't know. It's just absolutely insane, guys. Figured we'd react to that because it was so freaking stupid. I wanted to show my anger and frustration. But tomorrow we'll take a look at this wild trade back scenario that I did create this morning. Put a lot of thought into it and why it made sense for the teams involved. But it is really interesting, so I'm excited to share it with you guys. But make sure to like and subscribe below. As always, my friends, we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Giants video.